But what about Trump himself? Is Trump a racist? I mean, I think, I watch Trump and I have been, he said one thing to me that was egregious, which was when he was running the first time and they asked him if he would disavow the Ku Klux Klan, and he stumbled on it. He stumbled on it. He didn't do it. He waited a day. I don't know how long it was, maybe 2 days before he stumbled on it. Now, I interpret that as really bad politicking. Trump wants to win. That's his thing. He wants to win. And sometimes he overlooks the moral aspect of something. You disavow the Ku Klux Klan, even if it costs you votes. You do it. It's just something you do. You have to. If you can't disavow the Klan, what do you stand for? You don't stand for anything. He hesitated because he wanted those votes. No one could possibly believe that this guy is a Klansman. That's an absurd argument. The other day, I'm gonna say something almost nice about Hillary Clinton. The other day, this piece of video of Hillary Clinton made the rounds. This is Hillary making a joke during an interview. Let's play it.
What do you think of Cory Booker's, and you didn't comment on him, and you feel free?
Oh, I adore him.
What do you think about him saying kicked him in the shins, essentially? Start to get to that kind of political.
Well, that was Eric Holder.
Yeah, Eric Holder,
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I know they all look alike.
No, they don't. Oh, well done.
All right, so everyone on the right jumped on Hillary Clinton, and listen, kicking Hillary Clinton around is good sport, and we should all do it. It's lots of fun. But I've made that joke. A lot of people I know have made that joke. It's funny, first of all, and it's based in some kind of small truth. It's a little harder for white people to distinguish people of color from one another. Sometimes, I remember when I pitched the movie One Missed Call. It was a Japanese horror film, and I had to go in and pitch my version of it. I got the plot all wrong because I confused. It was I confused two of the beautiful Japanese actresses in the film, and I mistook the plot. And the people I was pitching it to had to correct me. So it's funny. If we can't laugh with each other about this, we can't live together. If we can't make jokes about each other, we can't live together. That is the way you discharge hostility in a non-toxic way. There's nothing wrong with what Hillary Clinton said. I know we're supposed to jump on her in every little thing, and I know they would jump on us if it were the other way around. I mean, good golly, if it had been Trump who made that joke, they'd be outside with pitchforks. Still, I think that you either look at the world and say, hey, I know we're all different colors. I know there's some, glitches in there in our minds that there's some tribalism inside. We were born to be tribal. It's a good evolutionary adaptation. I know all that stuff, but so what? We're going to make jokes about it. We're going to be fine. We're all going to get together. We're all Americans. That's one way of looking at the world. That is one way of looking at the world. I seriously believe that is the way Trump thinks. I'm not averse to dumping on Trump or attacking Trump when I think he's wrong, when I think he's doing something wrong. I seriously think he's just thinking about fixing stuff and winning. Sometimes he thinks about winning so much he forgets to think about things that are a little bit more important than winning, but that's what he's thinking about. When Jim Acosta said to him, you call yourself a nationalist, aren't you worried that people like me will try and twist that as I will to say white nationalist? Trump's response was, I've never even heard that theory. I've never even heard about that before. I literally think that's true. I literally think he does not. When he was talking in Charlottesville, and I know Ben and I disagree about this, and he said there are great people on both sides. If you go back and listen to that transcript, and Trump is not always the clearest speaker in the world, he's clearly referring to both sides of the question of whether statues like that of Robert E. Lee should be torn down. That's what he's talking about. The media made it sound as if he was saying, oh, there's great people in the Nazi party, which is absurd. Does anybody really think that, Trump goes to Ivanka and says, well, yes, you're Jewish, but there are great people in the Nazi party, too? No. No, it doesn't make any sense. It's like when people say Trump is Hitler and you say, yeah, is he killing anybody? Is he rounding anybody up? What's he doing? People live in their imaginations and they do not make the distinction between their imaginations and reality. We all do this a little bit. The left does it all the time. I seriously believe that Trump is just not thinking in those terms. Remember, the left set the terms of racism. The left set the terms about whether we should discuss every little thing about racism. Is it racist if you're in an elevator and a black man gets in to be nervous about that? Is that racist? I don't actually think it is if you're in a neighborhood where black people commit crimes. But so what if it is? So what? It's a little glitch in your mind. So what? It's not hostile. It doesn't mean you're going to be mean or not hire people or anything like that. The left set the terms where we're supposed to walk on glass about everything we say, about every move we make, anything that comes into your mind that may not be that is part of original sin and part about the broken life of being a human being. They set these terms. They set these terms. Somebody said to me, one of my favorite things that somebody once said about me was, you don't even know you're offensive. You don't even know you're offensive. And that's true, because I really know in my heart that I only want people to do what they want and be happy. That's my point of view. If I say something that's offensive, hey, I'm a person of goodwill. It's probably just a glitch, something I stumbled over. The left set these terms, and they only apply to the right. They only apply to the right. Remember, when Harry Reid or whoever, Joe Biden says, oh, Barack Obama, what a clean Negro. We don't have that many clean Negroes. That's fine. They don't care about that. If anybody on the right says it, it's a problem. I want to take a look. And by the way, just to throw this in, President Trump used his executive power for the first time to designate a national monument establishing a 308-acre site in Kentucky to honor African Americans' role as soldiers during the Civil War. So that he's the worst white supremacist ever. There's just no question about it. They set the terms in which gaffes are revealing, and most of the time they're lying. So Mitt Romney says, I'm going to stuff women in binders. Or, oh, we had all these women in binders, meaning we had resumes of women. We were looking to hire women, and we had women in our binders. And they said, oh, what a gaffe. What a gaffe. Mitt Romney, the man who stuffs women into binders. Help, Mitt, don't do it. Yes, I must stuff you into the binder so you don't escape. It's like the woman you keep in a pumpkin shell. I stuff them into binders. Nonsense. It's nonsense, and it only runs one way. So let's take a look at some of the gaffes that maybe are a little bit more revealing than that Hillary Clinton one. I let Hillary Clinton off the hook because I know she was not saying anything racist. She was making a joke. It's okay for us to make jokes. Not everything we say has to be judged on a scale of okay or outrage. That's ridiculous. We're just human beings. We're all Americans. We're living together. But let's take a look at some real gaffes that really were interesting. Joe Donnelly in Indiana was debating. Senator Joe Donnelly in Indiana is debating. He has a slim lead right now over the Republican challenger, Mike Braun. And he made this remark about how his staff is diverse.
We want everybody to have a chance in Indiana and in America. And my offices reflect that, both on the campaign side and on the Senate side. Our state director is Indian American, but he does an amazing job. Our director of all constituent services, she's African American, but she does an even more incredible job than you could ever imagine. It isn't their race or their religion. It's the incredible person that they are. But at the same time, they have to have a chance.
Now, I don't usually cringe, but I have to say, when I heard that, I did cringe. He's African American, but she does an amazing job. But that's a gaffe. And does it reveal that secretly in his heart he's a racist? I don't think so. I have to say, to his credit, his challenger, Mike Braun, said, I don't hold out against him. I don't think he's a racist. What an adult thing to say. But he added that if it had been me, if it had been a Republican, it is all we would be hearing in the news. And that's the difference. So, there are gaffes and there are gaffes. The difference is the gaffe meter only goes one way. It only ratchets one way. Then there are things that are kind of revelatory. All right. Elizabeth Warren, and obviously in Massachusetts, she's debating. And she was going back and forth with Jeff Deal, and they were discussing the Kavanaugh hearings, which is a big issue that really did turn the tide, I think, of the way voters were feeling. People thought, if you guys are going to do that, and if the press is going to do that to a man without any corroboration, without any proof, you guys are out of control. And I think that really did give some momentum to the right. So Warren's thing is, well, you didn't stand up for Christine Blasey Ford, and Deal's thing is, you didn't stand up for due process. In the middle of this, he mentions the fact that she sent out a fundraising letter, which I believe is against the Senate rules, based on the Kavanaugh hearing. And he says, you did that, and it slips through the cracks until the moderator brings it up again. And listen to what Elizabeth Warren does.
That was such an intense moment in our country's history as far as trying to deal with presumption of innocence, the cornerstone of our legal system. And you were willing to throw it right out the window because you were part of the Senate Democrats who were trying to score political points by using poor Dr. Ford's testimony as a way to drag down a man without any corroborating evidence.
So I don't think I quite understand the answer, because I'm looking for the times when you've called out Donald Trump, when he's made fun of someone like Dr. Ford, when he's made fun of someone who's disabled.
I would like to drill down on what Representative Deal said. The fundraising while the vote was being taken on the Kavanaugh hearing, did you or did you not do that?
Actually, I don't know, and I don't know what the.
There has been an
Isn't there an ethics committee?
Yeah, there's an ethics complaint has been filed about a fundraising.
Then I will check into it, but I don't know.
Do you have any response to that?
I don't.
Representative?
You could hear the audience groaning distantly in the background because she lied. I mean, she lied, and she lied with a kind of reflex that I've seen before. Obama used to lie like that. I don't know what we're fundraising. How do I know what we're fundraising? I mean, that's absurd, utterly absurd. And that is telling. That's really telling. There's an ethics complaint filed against her, and she hadn't heard about it. She looked completely blindsided by that. And, you know, we can make fun of the Pocahontas stuff, but that's another way that she's been lying. You know, I mean, it would have been so simple for her to say, you know, gee, that was a family legend, and I believed it, and now I know it's not true. But instead, she said, no, look, I'm 1/1024th of an Indian, so get me a headdress and off I go. You know, I mean, I think that does tell something about her. And then there is some really bad stuff coming up. And again, I'm talking about this stuff because the press doesn't. If the press did, we would be having a much different election. It would not be about these kind of big roundhouse punches that everybody's throwing, but it would be, in fact, about the nature of these people. Andrew Gillum, who... The polls show him winning against Ron DeSantis in Florida for governor, which I just think is amazing. I mean, what is going on that they think this corrupt mayor, socialist mayor, is a good guy? And once again, Project Veritas went in and talked to one of his campaign staffers, Omar Smith, who also said he was a friend of his, an old pal of his. And Omar Smith, who has since been fired since this video, said, yeah, we just lie about all our positions because we don't want people to know the truth.
Fairy tales in the modern day begin with once I am elected.
I honestly just can't say, but I do think he's not saying specifically like I'm going to ban bump stocks, or I'm against ARs, only because he's running a race right now. I do think he would support anybody doing that stuff. Bill Nelson.
Right, that's all I'm worried about.
Whatever, whoever the next person may be.
I just wish
insane just because he's trying to get the moderates and the gun-toting people in North Florida.
All right, this is a bad state.
Okay.
It's a cracker state.
Okay.
Okay? Ask anybody outside of here. You go Port St. Lucie, Orlando. Man, them crackers ain't gonna let us do that. No, you crazy?
So, what is he doing?
He's campaigning. He's politicking.
So you're saying that different environments, wherever he speaks, he'll address a different audience.
Yeah, that's what a politician do.
So we lie. It's a cracker state. It's a effed up state. You know, and they fired him, but still, you know, I think that tells you something. You know, it's like. You know, it's kind of like a woman comes up to you in a bar, or a man comes up to a woman in a bar and tries to pick you up, and you say, you know, that's really flattering, but I'm married. And she says, oh, well, your wife doesn't have to find out. It's like, I know my wife doesn't have to find out. That's not the point. So when you got your campaign workers who are saying, yeah, we lie because it's a cracker state, we hate them, why are you running? If you hate the state, if you hate the people, why are you running? You know, to impose on them something against their will? Is that why you're running? Is that what your politics is about? You know, it doesn't make any sense to me. And it is a real deal. These are real scandals, not just gaffes. The New York Times released an expose. I was talking about this before, started talking about this, about Beto O'Rourke when he was in real estate development. First of all, it revealed for the first time that he's not a blue-collar guy, but the son-in-law of a billionaire. And they reported that O'Rourke's father-in-law proposed gentrifying a neighborhood in El Paso by force, bulldozing public housing to make way for restaurants, a shopping district, and an art walk. And O'Rourke, the Times claimed, served as the, quote, pretty face for the plan while also serving in city government. What's interesting about this story, when it came out, they were attacked. The Times was attacked, savaged by its readers who didn't want to hear about this. This is a problem that the Times has created for itself by becoming a leftist rag instead of what it used to be, a newspaper. it now has readers who will only want to hear the good news about the left. They don't want to hear these stories, so you can't report the truth without losing your audience, which is fine if you're Sean Hannity or Chris, what's his name, on MSNBC, if you're an open partisan. But if you're supposed to be a newspaper and you can't report the news, you've really screwed things up.